Hi, and welcome to the Better Results Personal Training opportunity for learning about the spine and the nervous system and the way that it ties in to your thoughts, your actions, your movements, your health, your anti-aging, and your future potentials for all the success that you're thinking about getting and you may be thinking about getting in the future as you move forward. Okay, so let's begin with the discussion of what are the spine and the nerves all about. If I have a chart here, and I do, we'll take a look. It says spinal and nerve, again, connections, and it says nutrition. For our purposes, we're going to add in, beyond nutrition, exercise, movement, thoughts, even gestures. And you could even add intentions, which is related to emotions and things like that. Now, if you come back and take a look here for a second, when I'm talking to you, you'll see I have a certain position or alignment of my posture. The hands gesture in a certain way, and the body expresses through my face quite a bit. That's related to my nerve pathways. My nerve pathways tell me where to stabilize my shoulders, how my arms move, how my face expresses. We're going to take a moment now to bring our attention to the chart, which will point out where those nerve pathways are and how this relates to your understanding, your new knowledge that you're about to receive. So if you come forward, you notice that the cervical aspect of the chart, the C1 through C7 is referring to cervical. You'll find the brain, the vagus nerve, is going to be a large center of our attention. The vagus nerve is the major nerve, cranial nerve number 10, including the vagus nerve goes to the pneumogastric nerve, which runs way down into the intestines and informs the body with the gut-brain connection. So the vagus nerve is going to handle so much for you. We'll talk about that a lot. You're also going to find the trifacial nerves along with your eyes, your teeth, your auditory nerve, and the vocal sounds you make and the facial expressions, your sinuses if you have headaches or sinus blockages, your nose, your mouth and lips, how they express your vocal cords, your glands in your neck, okay, which help with all kinds of things from digestion to signaling to even we get into the thyroid gland at the bottom, and it talks about the neck, shoulders, upper arm muscles, and the tonsils. All this relates to the immune system, the lymphatics of the brain, or the glymphatics, and the whole idea of how you maintain health and the upper tract and express through the upper body and the brain and the face. So if we come back to my face for a second, that's a lot of information to begin with. So we can make just that video, or we can tap into the rest. So if you stay connected, we're going to go into the pelvic floor for a second and then come back into that. If you don't want to stay connected, just hang up here and you can come back into it later because that's already a lot to digest. For those ready to move forward, here we go. If I take the cervical complex and bypass the thoracic complex, T1 to T12, I come way down to pelvic floor. That's your driver, your root sections. It's going to cover the abdomen, the bladder, the ovaries, the testes, women's uterus. Again, the testes are listed here. The prostate for men. Women don't have a prostate, obviously. Men don't have the uterus. And here we have all the muscles of the low back, the feet, the ankles, okay? The bowel, the small intestine is also tied in here a little bit, but especially the bowel circuit, and all the lower body. Without that, there's no roots to feed this, okay? So you have to make sure we're going to be doing a lot of things at the pelvic floor, in the sacred space, or the sacrum of the body. That's going to be here below the area that most of us pay attention to. We only think of the lumbar plexus. We'll be way down into the sacrum, even below that. So we look at the lumbar plexus and the sacrum. Okay, that's the sacred space of the pelvic bone. This is all the upper portion, and eventually we'll be dealing with the brain down the road and the neurotransmitters created. But you get the answers out of the combination. So we're going to take a break, come back into the face for a second, and get a chance to revisit the idea that all of this comes through because I have a pelvic floor. I have the transference of energy through my thoracic wall or the trunk of the body. I'm built like a tree with roots, a trunk, branches, and a blossom or a head of awareness. So let's cover that again. Roots, tree branches that go low to the ground. I ground with those. The trunk comes up. I have branches. These are called biceps brachii, brachioradialis, and brachialis muscles. Those are muscles involved in bronchial. Therefore, they're lung. They're right at the cervical, but they come through the upper back, and therefore they're tied into my bronchioles, or the branches of my body. the nerve branches through the thoracic, which we didn't discuss, we bypassed those, and comes into the cervical plexus up here that feeds all these expressions that make me animated, happy to see you, and allows me to express that. So I don't have a flat affect. I have the ability to really vocalize. I keep myself young here because there's no blocked nerve pathways. My lymphatics drain. I don't get blocked in my nose. My eyes open clearly. My ears don't get clogged. My throat swallows easily. I have no problem with swallowing, no dysphagia. I have no problem with articulation. I can sing on key if I need to. And I have a diaphragm that allows me to breathe fully and keep talking without a lot of pauses, because I have a full ability to draw my stomach in, engage my diaphragm, and speak. So these are things we're going to be looking at when we talk about why we need to work on the spine and the nervous systems, and don't just worry only about, did I take my supplement? Or how are my cells, my mitochondria doing? We make sure the spine is aligned properly. The exercise we will choose will always focus on the spinal pathways of the cervical, the pelvic floor, and the thoracic to make you well and to move you forward, that your vitality is enhanced by the spine-centered personal training and nerve-centered personal training, engaging organs and glands ahead of your biceps or your triceps or your shoulders or your quadriceps or even your ankles. Let's review that really quickly. That means you have an ankle problem, it's going to be addressed through the spine. You have a wrist problem, it's going to be addressed through the spine. The bicep problem is going to be addressed through the spine, the cervicals. You have a shoulder problem, it's going to be addressed through the spine and the thoracic wall. These how you address these problems or these concerns is out of finding solutions in the spine, like a chiropractor would, or an acupuncturist would, or a massage therapist or physical therapist might. We're not reductionizing things into just a bicep or a tricep and think we just to build our biceps, we're fine. It's always going back to the spine. That's the philosophy we use, and that's why it works. So I look forward to you sending me emails or questions if it is overwhelming to you, and say, what part didn't I get? I can remake the video to tailor it to you, or I can talk in one of our meetings. Thank you very much for paying attention.